Good morning. The mind is always philosophizing, you see, always trying to work out. So therefore, to remove the suffering mind, the fluctuating, drastic change from Sat Chitananda, overwhelming joy, to deep dark night of the soul, suffering and desperation. Because that's the area we're working within, you see, from the highest to the lowest. That's the area that we can philosophize in, you see. That's the area that the body appears to be experiencing. But sadly, the body doesn't want to experience. The body is a slave to the mind, you see. The mind wants to experience. The mind wants to know, the mind wants to understand, the mind wants to investigate. And the mind comes up with great reasons of why. You know, I'm working on behalf of God. I am the mind of God. And the other mind, you know, that other one, he's working on the mind of Satan, you see. He's the one at the bottom, and I'm working on the one at the top, says ego. Ego is the same mind. Same mind, only one mind. Just wants to follow a path, you see. And Buddha says don't follow any path. The path of thoughts will take you to the bridges will take you over, or they will collapse. It's a chance game. So the idea is to remove the philosopher. Impossible. Impossible because it's so ingrained in our neurons, our atoms, our molecules, our consciousness, our brain. So ingrained. Can't help it. I just can't help it, you see. I cannot help it. You see, I, not personal I, this I, let's look at this I up here, this I, and it being God. I cannot help God. So what's going on? What's the point? Why are you trying to help that what is supposed to be superior? Or I can help it. Oh, so you're superior to God. You think you can help the most powerful. You see, that's the range that the human mind has created. The range of heightened joy to deep, desperate darkness of death and depraved mind suffering. I want to be the enlightened, you see. I want to be the Sat Chit Ananda, overwhelming joy, bliss, state, free, all-encompassing love. So let's look at what I feel, and of course this is only through my experience, that the two greatest who appear to oppose themselves, strangely born with the same name, or strangely speaking about the same thing, but in two opposing ways. How can that be, you see? I want to talk about U.G. Krishnamurti and Jiddu Krishnamurti, the two greatest philosophers of all time. Jiddu with David Bohm. David Bohm was a great assistance, kept Jiddu grounded, you see. U.G. had no one, allowed his mind to intervene around him, people with no authority, with no similar knowledge, just blobbed, you see. But it's not about what he says. It is about realizing that Yuji is talking solely about the human element. And the human element is the same as the being element, just in different varieties, different flavors. So the human ego is replicating that what it sees itself, representing. But it does not have the same all-round whole aspects or tools to what it is representing. Jiddu is not looking at human. He's looking at the mind, the whole mind. He's not looking at the human mind, the being mind, the spiritual mind, the religious mind, just the mind. Always trying to go deeper into every single molecule, every atom, every thought, every word. What is fear? You see? Yuji, slightly more blasé, but speaking the same language. And they both opposed each other. Because Jiddu didn't want to get sucked into the ego human side. And Yuji didn't want to get sucked into what the listener may call the spiritual side of Jiddu. But Jiddu was all as well not looking at spirituality. He was looking at the depth of being. Yuji, the depth of human. So together they're speaking about the same thing but in totally different tongues. Both said they were not gurus. Both realized that this is not really solely about religion and spirituality and science. These are all aspects of what they arise from, is the depth of the truth of what is. So, if you get a moment, it's worth being very selective about the Yuji talks. Because some can get you frustrated, angry, some can get you believing, some can get you hoping. But there's some in particular when Yuji speaks about nothing is happening, no one is talking, there's no listener. And the ones about Jiddu, who is trying to get you to listen, but knows there's no listener, wants to find out what is listening, what is beyond the ears and the words and the sounds. Jiddu is taking you to stillness, to pure consciousness. Yuji is taking you to nothingness. But nothingness is not stable, you see? Always coming into something. Stillness appears to be coming into moving. But moving is stillness. And stillness is moving. And nothingness is something. And something is nothing. What's going on, you see? Two great philosophers, great speakers. It may have been a different journey for Yuji had he had a David Bohm to really investigate, taking into consideration the universe and holograms and, the idea of the Bohm, that science-based philosophizing external mind. It would have been great had both the Krishnamurti seen from the core of both of their teaching. We're all teaching, we're all the same from the core of consciousness. We're just flowering into ways of expression, ways of experience, ways of culture, ways of conditioning, ways of programming, ways of ideas, ways of thoughts, waves and waves and waves and waves and waves and waves and waves. You see, when a speaker says every single human being in the whole planet that has ever existed and will ever exist is always looking from the same point. All looking from the same point. So therefore the outcome has to be the same. But when you see yourself from that point looking, you will see the outcome is already here. There's nothing to do. As Yuji says, there's no one talking. There's nothing happening. There's nothing to take place. There's nothing to do or attempt to try and change. And Yuji thinks it's been conspired upon by some sort of social system. And that's feasible. That is feasible. I mean, today's world, we can pick up a phone and send a photo across the world in 3 seconds. So if they can control imagery through space, they can control minds through space. So that's feasible, Yuji. Satellite dishes all around the earth, boxing us in. But you don't want to go down that route, you see. That route is out in the Earth's atmosphere, that satellites. There's a real satellite dish within that bypasses all that shit, Jiddu also looking at the mind, but looking at getting out of the shit, you see. Yuji telling you about it exists and there's no way out. And Jiddu saying, same. If it exists, this is the way out. Not the brain, not the thoughts, but the way we came in. The way that we already are. We're not this body. We're looking from some sort of incredible spatial love. And we want to see closely through this of what we could be. Anyway, in a psychological way, in a mindful way, and of course we have Thich Nhat Hanh, who says, okay, yeah, Jiddu, what you say is true, Yuji, what you say is true, let's just live. Let's just live in harmony. And that's the Buddhists. The Buddhists say, okay, all this exists, let's not pay any attention to it. Just live in harmony. Live in harmony with what we have been given, this body and this mind, and be mindful and be here and be present and be grateful. Live in gratitude, you see. So does Thich Nhat Hanh, the pyramid, the top, is that the way that humans and beings become one with each other, and human and being becomes one with yourself? And these two are just pointing you in that direction of that Buddhist life that we are all living, but we just don't want it. Don't want it. I want my mansion. I want my yacht. I want my car. I want more sex. I want more alcohol. I want more drugs. I want all the things that I'm not supposed to have. And I don't give a shit, And we all go through those stages. Teenagers. Some live as a teenager till the body is taken away. Some live as a child till the body is taken away. Some develop into adults, intelligent. And some make the grade, that superstar status. And a few become wise and say, the hell with it all. Whatever it is, it simply is. Have a good day. Namaste.